My wife cheated on me with her best friend, then stole $200, $0 from our joint account before filing for divorce to claim everything. Now she's gone silent after I found out the property she's been renting is in her brother's name, and I have no idea how to fight back. I never thought I'd be the guy to find out my wife was cheating on me, let alone with her best friend. It's like something out of a bad soap opera, but it happened to me. The crazy part is she was so convincing, so good at pretending everything was perfect that I almost didn't want to believe it. But the signs started piling up, and eventually I had no choice but to face the truth. It all started about 3 months ago, and I had been together for over 10 years, married for 8. We had a pretty good life, nice house, decent jobs, enough money to get by, and 2 kids who keep us busy. But suddenly I noticed she was acting different. She'd come home late from work more often, claiming she had extra meetings or work dinners, but I caught her in little lies. Her phone was glued to her hand, and she'd get defensive whenever I asked about her whereabouts or who she was talking to. At first, I dismissed it as paranoia. Maybe I was just overthinking things. But then I started noticing her phone bill was higher than usual, with calls and texts at odd hours. I'd catch her sneaking around, deleting messages, or rushing to hide her phone when I entered the room. I found her hiding a pair of women's earrings in her jewelry box, small, but enough to make me suspicious. She told me they were from that she'd forgotten about them. I wanted to believe her, but something felt off. One night I decided to check her phone when she went to bed. I know, it's invasive, but I was desperate for answers. I found dozens of texts between her and her best friend. They were flirty, sometimes downright sexual. I saw messages about meeting up, plans to get away for the weekend, and explicit talk about sex. My stomach sank. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak all at once. The next day, I confronted her. I told her I knew about the messages, about her lying about everything. Her reaction was shocking. She didn't deny it outright. Instead, she yelled, called me paranoid, accused me of spying on her, and said I was overreacting. She told me it was just a friend, that I was imagining things, that I was being jealous and insecure. But I had the messages. I had the proof. How could she deny what was right in front of her? She then spun a web of lies, saying she was confused, that she didn't mean to hurt me, and that she was just looking for something she was missing. She insisted she loved me, but she needed freedom and space. I felt like I was hit by a truck. The woman I loved, the woman I built a life with, was cheating on me with her best friend, and she was lying to my face about it. It was a gut punch I wasn't prepared for. I spent that night awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to process what I just learned. I felt betrayed, angry, and deeply hurt. How could she do this? After everything we went through, our wedding, the vacations, the nights I stayed up worrying about her, she was out there screwing around behind my back. And the worst part, she was so dismissive and bitchy, like I was the problem for catching her. She kept saying I was paranoid and crazy, that I was overreacting, but I knew better. I had the messages. I had the proof. That's when I realized this wasn't just about infidelity. It was about her stealing from us too. I found out she drained our joint account of nearly $200, $0 over the last few months, moved it into her own accounts, and was planning to leave me high and dry. She was renting a place, an apartment in her brother's name, she told me, while she filed for divorce. She wanted everything, the house, the savings, the kids. How could she do this? How could she lie, cheat, steal, and then just walk away like I was nothing? I've been trying to piece everything together since then. I've gone from shock to rage to sadness, and now a kind of numb acceptance. I don't know what's worse, the betrayal or the fact that she's disappeared, silent, not answering my calls or texts. I feel like I've been hit by a freight train, but part of me is also starting to see things clearly. She's a liar, a manipulator, and a thief. And now I have to figure out how to fight back against her lies, her fraud, and her plan to leave me with nothing. After discovering everything, her affair with, the theft, the fake rental in her brother's name, I felt like my world was crumbling. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The house that once felt like home now seemed cold and empty. I kept replaying everything in my mind, trying to understand how she could do this to me after all those years. How she could betray me so completely. then just walk away with our money, our life, and the illusion of a perfect marriage. I started digging into her financials more closely. I hired a private investigator to look into her accounts and her rental property. Turns out, she'd been funneling money into secret accounts and the property she was renting. It was in her brother's name, just as she said, but I found out she'd forged documents to make it look like she owned it. She'd been planning this escape for months, maybe longer. The more I uncovered, the angrier I got, not just at her, but at myself for not seeing the signs earlier. I reached out to a lawyer trying to figure out my options. The lawyer told me that since she's filed for divorce, I should prepare for a long fight. But here's the kicker. She's claiming she's entitled to half of everything, including assets I earned before we married. She's also trying to get custody of the kids, even though she's been unfaithful and reckless with money. It's clear she's trying to play the victim while she takes everything she can get. I couldn't believe how calculated she's been. Meanwhile, I kept trying to contact her, but she went completely silent. No calls back, no texts, no response to legal notices. It's like she vanished into thin air. I started to feel like I was fighting a ghost. I knew she was probably in that apartment she rented, probably with or her brother, planning her next move. I'd catch snippets of her social media posts. She'd post pictures of her new life, acting like she was the victim, the wronged wife. But I saw right through it. She's a master manipulator and she's good at hiding her tracks. One night I decided I needed to see her face, to confront her even if it was just for closure. I showed up at her brother's house where she was supposedly staying. I rang the doorbell, and when she opened, her face was cold, unreadable. She tried to act surprised, like she hadn't been expecting me, but I could see the flicker of guilt behind her eyes. I told her I knew everything, the affair, the money, the fake property. Her smile faded and she started lying again, saying she was trying to fix things, that I was overreacting, that she still loved me. But I wasn't buying it. She then threw out some bullshit about how she deserved happiness, that I was stifling her, that she needed her freedom. She looked at me with contempt, like I was the one in the wrong. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her how much she'd hurt me, but I just stood there feeling numb. I realized then that she wasn't coming back, not in the way I wanted. She was gone, emotionally and physically. And she was taking everything with her. The emotional toll hit me hard. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly, steal from us, and then just walk away like she was the victim? I kept asking myself if I should fight for the marriage, if there was any hope left. But deep down, I knew she'd already checked out. She made her choice, and I was left to pick up the pieces. As I sat alone in the house, staring at the empty rooms, I made a decision. I couldn't keep living in this nightmare. I was going to fight her in court, expose her lies, recover what's mine, and protect my kids from her manipulations. I've never been the kind of guy to give up, and I wasn't about to start now. I also knew I needed to focus on myself and rebuild. She'd taken enough from me, my trust, my money, my peace of mind. Now it was time to take control. But I'll admit, the pain is still there. Every time I think about her, I feel a mix of anger and sadness. I trusted her, I loved her, and I never thought she'd do something so cruel. I don't know how long this process will take or if I'll ever fully recover from the betrayal. But I do know one thing, she's not getting away with it. Not without a fight. After that confrontation at her brother's place, I felt like I was stuck in some kind of nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Every moment I wasn't working on legal stuff or trying to gather evidence. I was just sitting there, replaying everything in my head. It was like a slow-burning rage mixed with this deep sense of loss. I kept asking myself how she could do this. How the woman I loved and trusted could turn into this ruthless manipulator, stealing from us, and then disappearing without a word. It was like she had become a stranger overnight. I knew I had to act fast if I wanted to get any chance of fighting back. I contacted a forensic accountant to help me trace her financial moves. Turns out she'd been funneling money into offshore accounts, probably planning to hide it all. I also hired a private investigator to keep tabs on her movements. What I learned was even more infuriating. She'd rented that apartment in her brother's name, but she'd also been secretly transferring money into other accounts, possibly planning her escape for months. The more I uncovered, the clearer it became. She was orchestrating her exit meticulously, and I was just now catching up. The property she was renting. It was supposed to be a fresh start, but I found out she'd forged documents to make it look like she owned it. All her lies, all her bullshit about how she needed space, was just a cover for her plan to leave me with nothing. I started feeling sick, knowing she'd been lying to my face for months. Meanwhile, I was trying to figure out how to fight her legally. I met with a divorce lawyer who told me the harsh reality. She's trying to claim half of everything, including assets I earned before marriage, and she's trying to get custody of the kids. The thing is, she's painting herself as the wronged wife, even though she's the one who betrayed me first. It's sickening to think she's trying to manipulate the system to her advantage. But here's the kicker. She's gone completely silent. No calls, no texts, no replies to legal notices. I've left messages, sent emails, even showed up at the apartment she's renting. Nothing. It's like she's vanished into thin air. The only thing I get are her social media posts, pictures of her new life, acting like she's the victim. I see her smiling, acting like she's free, but I know better. She's hiding something and she's scared I'll catch her. One night I decided I needed to see her face to get some kind of closure. I went to her brother's house again, knocking on the door. When she answered, she looked surprised but guarded. I could see the guilt flickering behind her eyes, but she played it cool, trying to act like she didn't care. I told her I knew everything about the affair, the theft, the fake property, and I demanded she tell me the truth. Her response, she started lying again, saying she was trying to fix things, that she still loved me, that she was just confused. But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. She then threw out this whole spiel about how she deserved happiness, that I was smothering her, that she needed her. Freedom? She looked at me with contempt, like I was the problem, not her. I wanted to scream at her to tell her how much she'd hurt me, but I just stood there feeling numb. It hit me then. She's gone, emotionally and physically. She's already checked out and she's taking everything with her. That night, I just sat in the living room, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. The betrayal cut so deep. I kept asking myself if I should fight harder to save the marriage or just cut my losses. Honestly, I was so angry I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. Part of me wanted to drag her back, make her face what she's done, but another part knew she'd already moved on. She's already planning her next move, probably with or her brother, trying to slip away with everything she could steal. That's when I started to realize I had to focus on myself. I couldn't let her control me anymore. I reached out to the court to start the divorce process, and I made it clear I was fighting for custody of the kids and to get back what she stole. I also decided I'd get a forensic accountant to help me recover the money she took, every dollar. I'm not about to let her walk away with our life savings just because she's too selfish to face the consequences. Honestly, it's hard to sleep. It's hard to breathe sometimes, but I've come to accept that she's not the woman I married. She's a liar, a thief, and a manipulator. And I need to get through this mess, not just for me but for my kids. I know I'll be okay eventually, but right now, I just feel broken. The trust is shattered, and I don't know if I can ever get that back. All I know is, I'm not going down without a fight. She might think she's got everything, but she's underestimated how far I'm willing to go to get it all back. The legal battle is a nightmare I didn't sign up for, but I knew I had to fight for what's rightfully mine. I spent days poring over every document, every transaction, trying to piece together exactly how much she'd stolen and where it all went. The more I dug, the more I realized she'd been planning this for months, maybe even longer. Those offshore accounts, the forged property papers, the secret transfers, they all pointed to one thing. She was trying to disappear with everything we had. I hired a forensic accountant who was a beast at tracking money. Turns out, she'd siphoned off nearly $200, $0 from our joint account over the last 6 months. She transferred it into accounts in her brother's name, into offshore accounts, and even set up some shell companies. It was like she was trying to hide it all, but the trail was there if you knew where to look. I felt so stupid for not noticing sooner, for being so blind to her lies. Every dollar she took felt like a punch to the gut. Meanwhile, she kept playing her silent game. No calls, no texts. Her social media was still active, posting pictures of her new life, acting like she was the victim. I couldn't tell if she was trying to rub it in or just hiding out. I went to her brother's house again, demanding to see her. When she finally showed up, she looked like she'd aged 5 years. Her face was tired, her eyes darting around like she was afraid I'd blow everything open. I confronted her directly, told her I knew about her plans to leave, about the stolen money, and about her fake property in her brother's name. She tried to deny everything at first, but I had the proof. The bank statements, the forged documents, the transfers. Her face turned pale and she snapped at me, calling me paranoid and crazy. She insisted she was doing it all for her happiness, that she needed to live her life. She said she loved me, but I could see it was just a lie. She was already planning her escape, and I was just an obstacle in her way. What hit me hardest was her attitude, so bitchy, so dismissive. She kept telling me I was controlling, that I didn't understand her needs. I asked her how she could do this, how she could betray everything we built. She shrugged, acting like she was the victim, like I was the one who screwed up. That's when I realized she'd become someone I didn't even recognize. The woman I married was gone, replaced by someone cold, manipulative, and greedy. The kids, that's what hurts the most. She's trying to use them as leverage, claiming I'm unfit or that I'm controlling her from afar. She's painted herself as the victim in court, even though she's the one who betrayed me first. I feel like I'm fighting a shadow. She's gone silent, hiding in her new apartment, probably with her brother, or I've hired a lawyer to start the divorce proceedings, and I'm pushing for full custody of the kids. I want to keep them away from her toxicity, her lies, her manipulations. I also found out she's been renting that apartment in her brother's name, which is a big problem. It's technically in her brother's possession, but she's been living there and claiming it as her own. That's a legal gray area I plan to exploit. I'm gathering everything, photos, witness statements, bank records, to prove she's been lying and stealing. I want her to pay for what she's done. Honestly, I've never felt so betrayed in my life. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted with my life, turned out to be a con artist. I'm angry, yes, but also hurt. How could she do this to me? To our family? The worst part is I know she's probably just trying to get away with everything, spinning her web of lies to save herself. But I won't let her. I'm determined to fight for my rights, for my kids, and to get back what she stole. Every day is a struggle. Some days I wake up feeling hopeful, ready to take her to court and fight for what's ours. Other days I feel exhausted, defeated, wondering how I got here. But I keep reminding myself I didn't cause this. She did, and I'm not going to let her ruin me without a fight. It's all about standing my ground now, no matter how much she tries to manipulate or gaslight me. I have the proof, I have the legal backing, and I have to stay strong for my kids, for myself. The court process has been a roller coaster I never expected to ride. Every hearing, every deposition, feels like a battle I have to win just to get some semblance of justice. Or should I say, the ex-wife now has been doing everything she can to drag this out. She's filed every possible objection, claiming I'm unfit, that I'm abusive, that I'm trying to manipulate the kids. It's all pure BS, but it's what she's good at, lying, twisting the truth, and trying to paint herself as the victim. Meanwhile, I've been gathering more evidence. I hired a private investigator to follow her around, just to have some eyes on her. What I found was revealing. She's been meeting with and her brother quite a lot, apparently planning her next moves. I got video footage of her entering that apartment multiple times, sometimes late at night, sometimes with. I also found out she's been trying to sell the property in her brother's name, but I beat her to it. I filed a motion to freeze her assets, including that property, to prevent her from liquidating everything before the divorce is finalized. The money she stole, I finally got a forensic accountant to trace it. It's all in offshore accounts, shell companies, and hidden in various accounts she set up under fake names. I learned that she was planning to disappear with everything, leaving me with nothing. The betrayal cuts so deep. I worked hard for that money and she just took it, planning to run away. I'm determined to recover every penny and hold her accountable. The custody battle. Brutal. She's trying to turn the children against me, saying I'm controlling, abusive, and not fit to be a parent. I've had to provide proof of my involvement, school records, medical visits, photos of me with the kids. I even hired a child psychologist to evaluate her claims, and the report clearly states she's been manipulative and emotionally unstable lately. It's frustrating because I love my kids more than anything, and I don't want her to use her lies to take them away from me. I also discovered that she's been telling the kids that I'm mean, that I don't love them, and that I'm trying to keep her away. It's heartbreaking to see her trying to poison their minds, but I refuse to let her succeed. I've been spending extra time with them, showing them that I care, that I'm here for them. I want them to see the truth, that I've always loved them, and that I'll do everything I can to protect them from her manipulation. Throughout all this, I've also been dealing with my own emotional fallout. It's a daily struggle to stay sane. I've gone from feeling furious to feeling numb then, to moments of hope. Some nights I lie awake, replaying everything, wondering how I got here. I keep asking myself if I could have done anything differently, but I know deep down that she's the one who made her choices. She's the one who betrayed me, stole from us, and tried to walk away. I've learned a lot through this process about trust, deception, and the importance of protecting myself legally. I've also learned that sometimes love isn't enough to save a relationship. People change, and if they're willing to lie and cheat, then the marriage is already over. I don't regret loving her, but I do regret not seeing the signs sooner. Now I'm focused on rebuilding my life, on protecting my kids, and on making sure she doesn't get away with everything she's done. Honestly, I don't know what the future holds. I know I'll have to keep fighting, keep pushing, and stay vigilant. But I also know I'm not alone. I have good lawyers, a support system, and most importantly, my kids, who remind me every day why I have to stay strong. No matter how much she tries to manipulate or lie her way out of this, I will not let her destroy what's left of our family. I'll fight for every penny, every piece of custody, and every ounce of dignity I have left. She might think she's won, but she's underestimated how far I'm willing to go to get justice. The final stretch of this nightmare has been the most exhausting. After months of legal battles, relentless digging into her financials, and trying to keep my sanity intact, I finally got to sit down in court and face her accusations head-on. It's surreal how much she's lied and manipulated the system, claiming I was abusive, that I was trying to control her, even that I was the one stealing money. But I had the evidence to counter every lie. The forensic accountant's reports, the video footage, the bank statements, everything painted a clear picture. She was the one who betrayed me, who stole from us, and who tried to run away with our life savings. The judge saw through her bullshit. The custody evaluations, the proof of her manipulative behavior, the offshore accounts, everything worked in my favor. I could see her frustration, her panic, when her lies started unraveling. Her attempt to paint herself as the victim fell flat, and I felt a strange mixture of relief and anger. Relief that the truth was finally coming out, and anger that she'd spent so much time destroying what we had just for her own greed. In the end, I was awarded full custody of the kids. The court saw through her attempts to poison their minds and recognized that her actions were not only reckless but harmful. I also managed to freeze her assets and recover a significant portion of the money she stole, though I know some of it is still hidden away, somewhere I haven't found yet. But I'm determined. I'll keep fighting to get every dollar back, no matter how long it takes. The divorce was finalized shortly after. She was ordered to leave the apartment, her new life, as she called it, and to pay restitution for the theft. Watching her walk out of the courtroom, her face flushed with anger and defeat, was strangely satisfying. But beneath that, I felt a hollow ache. I had lost so much trust, so much of what I thought was solid and real. Still, I knew I had done everything I could to protect myself and my kids. Since the court ruling, things have started to settle down. The house is quiet again, less like a battlefield, more like a home I can finally breathe in. I've been working on rebuilding my life piece by piece. I've cut all ties with her, blocked her on social media, and focused on my kids' well-being. They're resilient, thank God, and they've been my greatest source of strength through all this. Looking back, I realize how much I've learned about betrayal, trust, and resilience. Never again will I ignore the red flags, and I'll always keep a closer eye on the people around me. I've learned that some people will lie, cheat, and steal without a second thought, and that sometimes the only way to survive is to stand up and fight back. I've also learned that, no matter how dark things seem, there's always a way out if you're willing to face the truth and do what's necessary. To anyone going through something similar, I'll say this: trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs, no matter how uncomfortable they make you. Gather evidence, seek legal help, and don't let anyone manipulate or gaslight you. It's a long road and it's painful, but ultimately it's about reclaiming your life and your dignity. I've still got scars, but I'm healing. And I know now that I'm stronger than I ever thought I was.